about that. Next time I go down, you know,
You seen that red paper circulating around? Shows what went on between 2001 and
haven't quite thought about it yet.
It's a
They blocked me like the first day. And I wasn't
It's the same thing. Some people don't work at this point.
That was sad.
Well, he's related.
They decided after people don't show up during the winter that it's a winter festival. Why can't
Part of it was because last year, you've always seen abundance with you guys. No,
Not going there.
But that would be for farmers. So why don't we do it? I would just sit around and worry about stuff. Who cares about 30 years from now? I don't care. I care about something like that. And it'd probably be very easy, you know, Michigan State University co-op extension gives money out for those buildings constantly.
Merry Christmas.
Why don't we?
I've got them again. They're told from.
Because they're too worried about 30 years from now. Well, yes, but Michigan State University extension.
$120 for a Christmas gift again.
They also go out billions of dollars for what money they work for. And do not pay for professors on the education test, and they're really good jobs.
A few months ago.
Instead of worrying about whether or not it's 2 inches of snow,
They didn't want to make any decisions, so they got to the border.
That way you can go, there's no check. So you can have driver to the other ones and wait for it.
Down here, we've got a decent gas price. And they do taxes.
but then they tax it. They'll tax it, and then the gas is only just shoot up. And they're still supposed to be able to tell them, forget it.
When I was growing up, you went from
Get you the dark.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming to the Tuesday, January 20th, Belding City Council meeting. Would you please stand for the invocation, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Father, we are joined here to do the business of the city. Look over us, help us make our decisions to be the proper ones. Take care of everybody that's here tonight, guide them on their way home, make sure nothing happens to them. In your name we pray, amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Cooper.
Here.
Councilmember Shai.
Here.
Councilmember Lowell. Mayor Gunderson.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
All present tonight for City Council. The city manager is not here due to a surgery she had. Next, we'll move into the approval of the agenda as presented. And motion support, bring this to the floor.
So moved.
Support. I have a motion and support. Is there any separation? Hearing none. I will call for a vote.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Shai.
Yes.
Mr. Lowell.
Yes.
Mr. Gunderson.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Approval of agenda as presented, passed 5-0. Next, we'll move into public comment. Anybody wishing to comment on any agenda item, please step to the podium, name and address for the record if you would, please. You will have 3 minutes. Seeing no public comment on agenda items, we will close public comment. Next, we'll move into the consent agenda. We have 4 items on the consent agenda. Could I have a motion to support to bring this to the floor?
So moved.
Support. Any separation? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Shai.
Yes.
Mr. Lowell.
Yes.
Mr. Gunderson.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Cooper.
Yes. Consent agenda passed 5-0. Next, we'll move into council liaison reports. Tom, start with you.
We haven't had a planning commission meeting since last month. When's the next, is it next month, next Tuesday?
27th.
27th, yeah. The next planning commission, and that's here at 6:30.
6:30.
Anybody's welcome to come down. That's it.
Dennis?
There was a rec board meeting last Monday. Unfortunately, I was out of town. But I caught up with Kevin a little bit, and thank you, Kevin, for giving me a synopsis of what happened. Four big things happened. There's some discussion with Demarest Fields with the DYBL board. The entire board was there, correct? disabilities. And I think they made some headway there, and hopefully we continue to make progress there. So the youth of our community have not only opportunities, but opportunities on top-notch facilities. Smash part was another issue. There was a practice basket that was stolen in November. There's been no information to where its whereabouts. Kevin, you're working on the swing set. I'm gathering quotes for a kind of a turnkey operation that'll come and do everything. Right. And then I think Mr. Lavel, you addressed the board for dog park.
We did discuss.
Yeah, we discussed it earlier. I think that's a tremendous idea on your part. I think you're forming a committee.
Cool.
Okay, and they're going to get that rolling, and I think that's another great opportunity for our community. So.
Thank you, Dennis. Mike?
Housing Commission meeting was last Thursday night. Wasn't a lot on the agenda. They have all the units filled with two finally. The maintenance men there, Joel and Mike, have been working their tails off. There's one unit there that was a non-smoking unit, but the person just continually smoked in there and whatnot. All they got to strip it completely because it's so nasty. They do have a runner for the other one as soon as they get that finished, which they plan to get finished this week. They do have two people leaving, mostly because they can't take care of themselves anymore, and they're going to go into a care facility. The Housing Commission would like to turn Woodhaven into an assisted living facility. That way there they wouldn't lose a lot of the tenants that they've had for years that they know and everything, and it would be less intrusive on those tenants. Also be able to stay where they're at and not leave where they're at and still have somebody taking care of them. So that's in the future plans. They've got to get ready to do their 5-year plan that they have to have for HUD. And HUD's already told them they're cutting their budget for this year. But they don't know how bad it's going to be yet because they have to fill out all this stuff, send it in, have somebody look at it, and they'll make a decision then. But all the housing units, doesn't matter where it's at, is going to have budget cuts this year. Other than that, that's it. That was about the topics.
Hey, Mike, here?
There was a Labor Day committee meeting. They voted to sign a new contract with New Carnival this year. They're called DNR Shows out of Monroe, Michigan. So we welcome them. Labor Day committee is also working on fundraisers, possibly a steak fry American Legion. Just some other ideas they're throwing out too. They are working on updating the website, and they will keep everybody informed on their Facebook page. They are in need of volunteers from the community to encourage any input that anybody may have for this year's celebration. So if anybody's willing to volunteer, has any input, please contact somebody from the Labor Day Committee. The next meeting is Wednesday, February 4th here at the Depot. So I encourage the community to come out and give their input. So thank you.
They're always looking for help.
Thank you, Jerry. Really haven't had no meetings other than the Trails, the Friends group. We did make a motion to replace the receptacle that was burnt out by Ellis Street. I picked that up yesterday, actually, down in Mulligan. So DDA is this Thursday at noon here at the Depot, and the library is next Monday at 5. So we have no unfinished business. Moving into new business, we have consider approval of zoning board of appeals applicant questionnaire. Green,
As requested by council, Gary Knowlton, chairman of the planning commission, and I prepared a list of potential questions, I is Meg Mullendorf, to ask interested ZBA applicants. This may be approved as is, or any changes, additions, or omissions council would like just need to be indicated, and Corinne will adjust those accordingly and mail them out on the 21st, along with a copy of the ZBA handbook offered to the Michigan Municipal League. I believe Chairman Knowlton will be present at the meeting if you have any questions regarding the questionnaire presented. Further, please remember that the Planning Commission will make a recommendation at their January 27th meeting to City Council regarding whom they wish to have represent them on the ZBA. It is staff's recommendation that the questionnaire as presented be approved and sent to those who have submitted applications for appointment to the ZBA.
Thank you, Craig.
You're welcome.
That is the city manager's report as presented to council. I need a motion of support to bring this to the floor.
So moved.
Support.
Dennis, we'll start with you. Do you have any?
I appreciate the questions. There was significant effort, it looks like that's put into these questions. However, I just can't see that we force people to fill this out. I think we can provide it to them for a tool if they want to expand on things, if they feel they need to address the board in different ways, or if they want the board to know something that they might not otherwise be able to communicate. And I think they could have an opportunity to fill this out and submit it. But I think those that have already submitted or want to submit, I don't think we need to make it a mandatory thing that they do.
Thank you. Gary, I forgot you were here. I'm sorry. I would ask you to come up and do the presentation that you and Meg had put together, if you would please, as far as I did not see you. You were right directly behind me.
Corey's big, yeah.
Corey.
He said. Corey's calling.
Oh, did you want me to do it now?
Just do it now, please. I'm sorry. Yes. I completely did not see you out there when you were.
I'm short.
How you arrived at these, and just give us a brief overview of them, please.
Okay. We actually worked on this, we got together at one point, and then our meeting was cut short, and so actually I went home and prepared some questions and sent them in to Meg via email, and she added to that, and that's how the end document that we got was prepared. The reason that we felt it was important to come up with a series of questions is to find out more about why people wanted to be on this particular, serve on this particular board. It is one of the, well, I'm not going to say all boards are important, but this one from a legal point of view is very important because they actually have the authority to rewrite city law or exempt people from keeping the mandates of our zoning ordinance. It's a board that, if not done correctly, could easily get the city into trouble in regards to the law. So I think this board is very important. What they do is hear appeals that have been made by perhaps management, planning commission, city council, zoning officials, to hear appeals from decisions that they have made, and to also interpret our law. If there's part of our law that is not clear, then it could possibly go to ZBA so that they could interpret the law and then apply it as to the intent of the law. So it is a very important board. For this reason, we felt it was important to get feedback from the applicants as to their intentions or their reason that they wanted to be on the board. There also are a couple questions that measure their knowledge of zoning board of appeals practices, and so those questions have been indicated on it. I think if followed, this would give information to the city council to make wise decisions in regard to placement on this important board.
Thank you. Mike?
I'm also.
I just have a question, and I read something, maybe you can answer this, Gary, as well, or somebody can. Under the legislative body, it states, and I'm referring to the zoning board of appeals handbook, it states the legislative body is responsible for providing funds necessary for the operation of the ZBA. This includes payments to members, other expenses such as mileage for site visits, attendance, conferences, and training sessions. Is that something the city does?
Yes. It's all part of that, correct, Crane, as
You
far
can
as the
receive
training.
mileage, and then the training is provided at the city's cost.
So I think when we were asked to review applicants and go through questions, and I think considering that the council does provide money for the operation of the ZBA, I feel it's important that the council is really, has that opportunity to look over these applicants and really look at the reason they want to serve, and I think this is a good thing. And like this, since of course, since we do provide money for that, the city does provide money, so I really appreciate doing this. Thank you, Gary.
And so here's somebody else might want to ask you something. I'll see you right here.
I think it's important. In the past, we haven't, and even at the last meeting, we appointed some commission members to different commissions. I, as a city council, in thinking this over, I would like to see us also come up with some questions for all the different committees or the groups that advise us, and not to necessarily get their political opinions, but just to get a feel for the people. On this particular questionnaire, in looking it over, I would be comfortable just using question 3, 4, 5, 8, and 10, and 11. A couple of them, the rest of them may or may not be as important as those 3, or those 5, 6 of them. So anyway, I would be comfortable with those, and I'd like to see us, as we start filling in the other vacancies on any of the other committees, do the same thing, just to get a feel for the people, and not, like I said, not to check their political swing, Republican, Democrat, for, against, or whatever, but just so I, as a council member, know who is being on the committees.
Thank you, Tom.
I think that's it.
I like the way the questions were put together. I appreciate the time that Meg and Gary has put to these. We did ask him to do we did ask the two of them to come up with some questions at the council level, which they have done. They've come up with a total of 11. I really think they are fair questions. I don't know of anything that is really left out at this point in time. I like the direction that, they've gone as far as asking the questions, as far as what is pertinent to the city and what the regulations are and what they mean as far as the actual zoning board of appeals. So that being said, I would ask for a vote.
Mr. Morrow?
This is a vote to, I'm sorry, this is a vote to approve the
Yes.
question. Yes.
Mr. Gunderson?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
No, I'd like fewer questions.
Mr. Cooper?
No.
Mr. Scheid?
Yes. I would like to see fewer questions also, but it's not that bad.
Item A under new business, passed 3-2. Next, we'll move into item B, which to consider approval of ordaining ordinance 535 under C, chapter 6.4, the emergency provisions addressing floodplain management, third state construction code. Crane, could I have you read that, please?
Pursuant to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the city is required to adopt the attached ordinance to allow the city and residents affected to participate in the National Floodplain Insurance Program. Failure to adopt this ordinance will prohibit the 22 parcels that are affected by the national floodplain within the city's jurisdictional boundaries and will require them to acquire insurance elsewhere at an exorbitant cost to them. The city has participated in this program, and now it's time to adopt an ordinance to augment the state's construction standards. In years past, we have only been required to do this by resolution. However, we are now required to have an ordinance in addition to a resolution in order to continue participating. This is being done as an emergency so that it goes into effect immediately after publication and no one would be adversely affected, as there are no renewal rates in January or February. Our code of ordinances does allow for emergency adoption for situations of this nature, and it is staff's recommendation that the City Council adopt ordinance number 535 as presented.
Thank you, Chris. Again, bringing the city manager's report presented to the City Council. Ask for motion and support, bring this to the floor.
So moved.
Support.
Mike, any discussion on this?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry from what I've read here and stuff. And it's gonna help people. I'm all for it.
Thank you. Gary?
No,
Tom?
Questions?
Dennis? I think this is a good plan to move forward to help those residents that are within that floodplain. There are, as the report stated, there are 22 within the floodplain, and this will allow them to acquire insurance at a lesser rate. At that, I would ask for a vote.
Mr. Gunderson?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Scheid?
Yes.
Mr. Lalo?
yes.
Item B, under new business, passed 5-0. Next, we'll move into public comment. Anybody wishing to comment on any item, please step to the podium, name and address for the record if you would, please, and you will have 3 minutes.
Starting right now?
Just go ahead, sir.
Wow, that's clean. That's great. Good evening, I'm Dennis McKee. I'm with Consumers Energy, and I'm here just performing some basic outreach, communications outreach, in advance of Consumers Energy doing some work in Ionia County. We are upgrading our electric meters across the entire state, 1.8 million of them. And the reason we're doing that is because the meters that we have on homes right now, they don't tell us anything unless we put people in vehicles, drive to homes, walk up the driveway, look at the meter, and hopefully enter in the information correctly. The new meters will just send us a text message letting us know how much electricity each customer has used. We also don't know when the power's out at somebody's house, unless somebody else notices, picks up the phone and calls us and says, the power's out. In 2016, the meters will have the capability of contacting us and letting us know when the power's out, even when folks aren't home. In a state where we've got 35,000 miles of rivers, and a lot of people are gone in the wintertime, and we have ice storms and lose power, and people have sump pumps, it's nice to know that we'll be contacted in the future, even when people aren't home, so that we know that there's a power outage before folks come home and find a mess in their basements. So, what we're going to do is send out some mailers. I wanted to let you folks know what you're going to be seeing. We'll be in the Belding area, updating meters toward the end of the spring. You are served by our Greenville office. We've already upgraded the meters in 400,000 customer areas, customer homes in various areas, 400,000 of them in Muskegon County, Ottawa, Allegan. We're finishing up in Kent County. So this is what you'll see, you and the residents here, in the next couple of months. First, blue card will come out letting you folks know that we'll be there in about 30 days, update your electric technology. You don't need to be there for us to do it. And then there's also information on what we're doing, why we're doing it, and where you can get more information online or by phone. Then we'll send out a 2-week mailer letting folks know we'll be there in about 2 weeks. We almost always drive a white Ford Focus. Our employees will carry their company ID so you know we're legitimate. We wear brightly colored safety clothing. And again, where to get more information online or by phone if you want to. Then, on the big day, because there's nothing more exciting than getting a new electric meter, we knock at the door, let folks know that we're going to be in the yard, and then we leave this beautiful green commemorative door hanger on the door, letting folks know they've got some new meters. So we see these all up and down the streets. Once we've been through the neighborhood, we can upgrade as many as 5,000 of them in a week. So there's a lot of activity. If folks come home and they're saddened by the sight of the blue door hanger, blue for sad, that means generally you weren't able to replace the meter because they've got a very large dog very close to the meter. We'll come back on another day. I will leave for you and for the folks in the audience some brochures. I'll go out to my car, bring in more. I didn't know that there'd be so many folks here. I'm glad there are. These brochures, broken down into 3 sections. How does it work? What's in it for me? And when will I get mine? How does it work? We're using the cellular telephone technology, using cell towers to send the messages, and there's no personal information in the text messages that are sent to us. No name, no address, no account number. We don't know how people are using their electricity. If somebody's growing tomatoes in their basement, we can't tell. So we'll be using the cellular telephone network. And then what's in it for me? Online energy use information. If folks want to go online at consumersenergy.com/smartenergy, enter in a new password that they create, they'll be able to look at their energy use information through the month. So if they're worried about their budget, they're wondering if they're above budget, below budget, they won't have to wait until the end of the month to see what their bill is going to be. Or if they have friends come and stay, they'll be able to see how much more electricity they've used. And then, of course, better outage management, because we'll know when power outages are. We'll be able to restore people much more quickly. We'll be more efficient. We'll be providing better service to our customers. When will I get mine? There's a map at the bottom showing where across the state we'll be between now and the end of the program, which is at the end of 2017. We do have some folks who get natural gas and electricity from us. We've got 1.8 million electric customers, 1.7 million gas customers across the state. Only 600,000 combined customers who get both. In those places where we have folks with gas and electricity, we'll put a communications module on the gas meter so it can talk to the electric meter, and we won't have to send out a meter reader to read either meter. Thank you. Phew. Yeah, that's a lot of information. I brought some keychain flashlights for the folks in the audience and so forth. These are very popular with kids on their, especially when they work on their backpacks, help you get into a darkened door if you need to. I'll leave this packet for you. I have extra packets for anybody else who wants them on the board. And I'm happy to come back and speak to Rotary clubs, chambers of commerce, dog walking groups, anybody who may be interested in knowing more or need a program. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I'll leave that with you. And I'll get some more brochures for the rest of the folks in the audience.
That was exhausting.
That was a lot of information. I know.
Thank you again.
I will send you some information to make it easier for you.
Any other public comment?
Taking your chair. Stand over by Marcy.
Denny Craycraft, 11692 Yeoman Road, Belding, Michigan. Just to give you an update again on our Veterans Park program. I have not been in front of you for several meetings because we're in the stage right now where my professional begging program is in play right now. That's trying to raise money for our wall. To let you know that we are in full swing. We've got a mountain to climb, tremendous amount of backing going on. We just came out with a fundraiser. Just to give you an updating here. And Lepix gave me the honor of being there Wednesday and Saturday all day to sell our stickers that we have, that we are raising funds for the wall. And they're $7 a piece, and hopefully on the one part of the wall when I have the monument down here, where the monument is cut out like the shape of Vietnam with the map on the front of it, which is going to run us about $10,000, just that one sector. Hopefully this will take care of 80 to 90% of that. So with the backing of the people in town, which has been tremendous. We just got these 2 weeks ago. We've got like 800 of them out right now. We've sold probably over 300 of them. So the program's going well, and this weekend I'll be in Lansing all weekend at state convention, and this is going to be a major selling point down there. And then I have an appointment up across the streets to the casino. As you all know, there's 2,654 names going to be on that wall of all the Vietnam veterans that had died in Vietnam. 79 of them veterans are in the UP. And being a state director in the VFW on the state pool league for the whole state, we set up tournaments up there, and in 2016 our state tournaments up there, so I have an inside line with them, and I'll be talking with them next month because we have our men's auxiliary tournament going to be up there next month. So that's in play. Anybody hasn't got a sticker, I'll be around afterwards, but I also want to let you know that the Eagles, Greenville Eagles, on the 21st of February is running a major cordon bleu dinner, and all the funds will be going to the wall. Also, the ladies auxiliary VFW, they have their bingo on Wednesday night. They run 50-50s every night there, and all that money is going to the wall. Today our committee had a meeting. I met with Randy Slater, which I'm sure all of you know who Randy is. Randy is was in school with me. He's been one of our teachers for many years, and he runs and helps runs our 5, 10, and 10K runs during the summertime. A glow run that they had earlier this year, last year. And when I was down at Leppings, he came down and said, Denny, he says, I want to sit down with you and possibly run a 5K run and walk, and all the funds go to the wall. So we had our committee had a meeting with him today, and I'm totally ignorant as far as what it takes to put that together. But I was really clued in very well today, and through his suggestions and everything, we were looking at possibly on Memorial Day. Of course, we have our Memorial Day services at the wall at like 11. So we thought, talking together, that at 9:30 step off on Memorial morning, and we're heading west, going out the run, our walk, our trails here, going across the bridge up on High Street, coming out and going up on Bridge Street, and then going up by Indian Summer and catching the walkway and coming back this way. He anticipates those walkers and runners to be back here by 10:30. They'll be coming in this way, we'll be coming in this way, and have another 200 people at the memorial service down here. So a lot of that is, up in the air, we're talking about it. But at this point in time, I would like to have permission at the next city council meeting to be put on your agenda to talk about this, to get permission from the city council meeting, and we will have down on by what the route will be and what has to be done, and the people that I have to get involved with to make sure, because we have to have people at the crossings and get with the city police and everything to make things happen. With the grace of the city council to have that done. Again, I'm still in the learning stages on this, but it's a fundraiser, and he says it can be done very easily, but we want to get everything online. We're on the website now, www.beldingveteranspark.com, and we are on Facebook right now. So you can go on Facebook with Belding Veterans Park, period, and then hit Facebook, and I hope you friend us. And we're keeping that up as much as possible. We got hooked up with GoFundMe.com, and our tentacles are going out in every direction. And like I said, we got a mountain to climb, but we're not sitting still. Everybody's moving, and I'm very proud of the committee that we have and what we're doing, and the backing of the community and everybody that's coming up and supporting us. So just wanted to let you know, but I'd like permission to come up, and I'll have more information for you there. And probably as we go into the winter months and into the spring months, I have no clue unless Santa Claus taps me on the shoulder and say, here's a paycheck. Because we got, I'm guessing, close to $165,000 that we have to raise. Huge amount. But with what we got on the agenda and the plating and everything, it's going to be a total asset plus for this community and our veterans.
Thank you, David.
Good evening, everyone. Catherine Henry, 806 Wildlife Trail, Belding, Michigan. I came tonight to speak to you about a recent FOIA request that was made by a resident of Belding. That resident made a FOIA request, properly sent it to Meg, who is the FOIA coordinator for our city. Meg then, for some unknown reason, forwarded it to the attorney defending the lawsuit that I filed against the city. He then wrote her a letter that not only treated her with a large amount of disrespect, but in one fell swoop, he also admitted to violating the Michigan Rules of Professional Conduct 1.2, 1.4, 1.7, 1.8F, and 1.13.
Catherine, could you repeat those, please?
1.2,
Yes.
1.4, 1.7, 1.8F, as in Frank, and 1.13.
Thank you.
And there are pleadings in this matter that you can reference that I go into more detail about that. But in addition to that, he also violated the well-established privilege of confidentiality of settlement negotiations by disclosing select portions, and I say select portions, of my settlement proposal with this resident. This resident didn't ask anything about any settlement proposals, yet that information he decided to disclose to her. In doing this, he not only violated the law of settlement privilege, but he also cherry-picked certain provisions to provide a slanted view of the offers made in an attempt and he did this in an attempt to drive a wedge between me and the rest of the other residents of the city of Belding. Obviously, I have huge concerns about the ethics of that behavior. I have already filed a request with the court to discipline him for this egregious behavior and to prohibit him from any future similar conduct. But I ask you now, as council members, to keep in mind these rules of settlement privilege and the confidentiality of that settlement negotiation. Those rules apply to you as well as council members. So please do be careful when discussing this lawsuit with others, or when taking parts of it out of context in your selective Facebook postings, because the public is watching. They are looking at all the information that is being sent out there. And not only is it unethical to do some of this behavior, but it is illegal. So I'm just asking you now to just be careful when you're discussing what you're discussing with the lawsuit. I would also like to reiterate the fact that this individual is a resident of the city of Belding. She has nothing to do with my lawsuit. She's not a party to it. She's not assisting me in any way. I'm not assisting her in any way. Only just yesterday, I met her for the very first time. And yet, in making a simple FOIA request, Attorney Callahan decided to engage in very disrespectful communications with her. And I would ask you to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.
Good evening. Craig Corbessa, 8079 Story Road. Tonight I'm speaking on behalf of a group, Citizens Holding Belding City Accountable. The only reason for that is just in case I've reached my 3 minutes. This group formed a Facebook page so that we could get the relevant and truthful information out to the public with the hopes of creating transparency from our local government. The group's page is 355 members strong and still growing. This is not a small group, as a couple of people from the council has alluded to in the past and made statements on a small group of people making problems within the community. I beg to differ. This is the part of the majority desiring changes in our local government and its leadership. As part of the group, over 600 citizens voted Councilman Cooper onto the board to start making those changes and putting our community in the right direction. As in part of what I wanted to look at tonight was to review the last meeting in regards to the ZBA. And I don't mean to beat this to death, but it's quite important that the community understands the process of when this began and to where it is now and the truth behind it. So I want to quick review that. Number one, the board was disbanded because it was lacking one member, yet the alternate, Ms. Benson, was never contacted. That's a fact. Number two, the board members were never contacted about being dissolved and had to read about it in the Daily News. That's a fact. Number three, 2 qualified candidates submitted applications within weeks of being disbanded, but our board was never reinstated, even though we told it was going to be. That's a fact. Number four, since then, 4 other applications have been submitted, and but now all of a sudden there became concerns about candidates being qualified that came into play. Councilman Lallo at the last meeting stated this. He said he believes all candidates who have submitted applications are qualified. That's a far cry from beginning to where we're at right now. He's saying they're qualified. But he still has concerns about each applicant's ability to work with Mullendorf. Nobody is questioning the qualifications by any means. But the one concern I have is I just want to make sure that everybody is going to be working with our city manager too. To be able to call her and get some guidance as well during this period, he said. Right now, a lot of people refuse to communicate back and forth with the city manager. It's no secret how some people feel about our city manager. I just want to make sure that the qualified applicants would at least be open to contacting Meg if they have any questions. And that's for them to get along with her and to go and see her. So what does Councilman Lallo mean by that? Is that in regards to perhaps Michelle Cooper? Is it because she chaired the board but yet followed through with her constitutional rights to voice her concerns against the city manager? Which she did. And she did that on the March 18th meeting. And some of Chairman's concerns was, when she approached council about the city manager, is that she was there to express her sheer disappointment with the lack of leadership, lack of professional conduct, and unethical behavior of the city manager. She went on to also review the city manager being at the firing range with the city police, in that it's against city policy. She also pointed out that her vehicle was towed from the city parking lot because it was being impounded because of lack of payment. She went on to talk about a lot of things. In fact, almost a whole page before the mayor cut her off from her time. Or Mr. Lallo, was it Shelley Gladding who was also on the board? She also was part of that board and brought forward some of the concerns of the city manager that was relevant to the planning commission. I believe it was because there was a lack of moving forward to get a seat filled that a citizen had applied for that was taking months to place. Yet the board was being pushed lower to lower its number of chairs, even though they had an application from Catherine Henry floating out there somewhere. So I'm trying to understand what you mean by people going to her. Is this why the ZBA board's not being reinstated? Is because these people came out and spoke against her at one time? Is this why we're creating new evaluation systems for people who are already on the board and are clearly qualified as citizens of the community? Business owners, they pay their taxes, they pay their bills. That's qualified as it is, and more qualified than the city manager. So my question is do we really understand the city of Belding's organizational chart? We have at the top, Belding residents. The next step down would be from the majority of the residents placing a mayor and city council in place. And then from there, they put the boards together. Well, the city manager is at the bottom of that list. She oversees the employees in the departments. For some reason, she has been put at the top. And that's what we're concerned about. That's where we're lost. Why is that? At the last meeting, Mr. Mayor, Gunderson said he remained concerned. He remained concerned with making sure the applicant qualifications due to the potential liability that would fall on the city if the ZBA were to be sued. And I know Mr. Knowlton has brought this up numerous times, and it seems that this is one of the outs that we're using because of reforming this board, even though I think it's been, my personal opinion is maybe been ridiculous. But Council Cooper asked at that last meeting right after that, he said to you, was the ZBA being sued? You said no. Had it been sued? You said no. How about starting with your city manager, who currently is being sued for violating citizens' rights, yet you're concerned about the hard-working, tax-paying business owners being able to sit on the ZBA board and make intelligent decisions that are spelled out in black and white. These citizens are owed an apology. The applicants clearly do not deserve being put through this process of questioning when most were already on the board as it was. It is completely ludicrous when you compile all the statements from the mayor and the city manager, and most recently Mr. Councilman Rowell. What is concerning is why you continue to support subpar standards from a city manager for a community that you have been elected to lead. We are not interested in wasting thousands of taxpayer dollars because a city manager doesn't like what someone said and feels the need to retaliate against them. When is this going to stop? When is our leaders going to start doing what is best for the community? It seems to me that the majority has been speaking for over a year, voicing concerns and the incidents of the manager, yet no accountability has taken place for any of her actions. That is not leadership. Leadership is representing the people who voted you into office to work for them and their best interests, not the city manager. Thank you for your time.
Firestein, 901 West State. You got two people sitting on this council, Jerry and the mayor, that's doing the job they're required to do. I cannot say that much for the rest of you. Mr. Jones, on November 4th, violated your charter, so you can discuss that, what you're going to do. He was required to vote if he read his charter. And what he was supposed to be doing, that's the only thing he could do, was vote yes or no. So there is another deal. It's picked out of the charter, not just pieces, but honest pieces. In regards to the councilman that was newly elected, I have information that he talked to a person and told him that an official in the city hall was a crooked SOB. That is an embarrassment to this council, for all of you. Now, if you want to live with that, just remember it came from this corner. That's your minute, son? No. Regarding the assassination of persons' identity and reputation in this town by certain people that think they can run this town better than what is being run now, has caused all this trouble over one thing. Is it Cooper getting fired from police officers. This was done, this was done in 2001. You can get the story and go right straight through it, completely up to date, and this is in the future. Thank you.
Why you ain't here?
That explains why I couldn't help it. Why am I glad I got up there
Any other
first?
public comment? Hearing none, we will close public comment. We have no city manager report, as Meg is off tonight after surgery. She is doing well. Next we'll move into council comments. I think, Jerry, I believe you're up.
I believe the questions working with the city manager was legitimate. I believe that was one that council, I think, agreed on at least, and it seemed that it passed, the question passed. That was one of the questions in the handout, and like I said, it passed, so apparently working with the city manager is very important to this council, because it did pass. So, I think when it comes to the ZBA, when the council is responsible for the funds, the operating the ZBA, I think it's important that this council make sure that the right people are in place. And I stand by my decision when I voted yes to start, as we have projects in place, and we work to delay those projects. And I stand by my decision, and that's the end of that. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I'm not sure how some of the people in the audience may take what I'm going to say at this point. I was appointed to this position, and I thought this town was moving forward. I could use a derogatory, but let's just call it politics in this town. I know that you can pretty much recall any elected official for almost any reason, whether you don't like their part of their hair, or the way they walk, or the process they take. But I feel at this point we're abusing that process in Belding with the recall. I've known Ron for many years. I respect his honesty and his decisions. We cannot always agree with what is voted on at the council. As I said, I support Ron. I was the one who made a motion to make him mayor, because I think he's done a good job in that position. As for Jerry, I've only known him for a couple years since he was elected to the council. He's been criticized for being too new to Belding. I think it's good that he's new to Belding because he doesn't have loyalties or friends in the sense of long-time friendship. He brings a different perspective. He's brought some ideas to the rec board when I was the liaison there. He and Ron have both been very community-oriented. Ron's put his heart and soul in the bike trails and other projects around town. Jerry has been very involved. He was the only one that took, I shouldn't say he was the only one, but he was the one that got Christmas decorations, at least on the Bridge Street Bridge. to get some decorations up in town. They've both been shoveling snow down at the Veterans Memorial here, outside the thing. I probably should have spoken up when Joe was recalled, and I apologize for not doing that, Joe. We all have the heart, I think our heart and our soul is what is doing best for Belding. We aren't always going to like what somebody else, how one of us vote. But I've heard school board, I spent over 12 years on that. They're yes men. I don't think we're yes people up here. I think we all have ideas, and we all